Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Meher Baba program. I'm Fred Stankus. Today we commemorate the life, a tribute to Lawrence Hermes Reiter. Hermes passed away a week ago, August 23rd, Thursday, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The obituary read, Lawrence Hermes Reiter, 61, passed away of an acute illness on Thursday, August 23rd, 2007. He is survived by his daughter, Mara Reiter, who's 24, who lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. A memorial service was performed this past Sunday and at Briar Cliff Acres, which is close to the Meher Baba Myrtle Beach Spiritual Center. Mr. Reiter is best known for publishing Lord Meher, a 7,000-page biography of Avatar Meher Baba. He also amassed the largest collection of archival photographs of Meher Baba in the whole world. He worked tirelessly his entire life to further the work of Avatar Meher Baba, literally traveling throughout the world to collect photographs and documents of Meher Baba's life. He was recognized as one of the most accomplished esoteric editors and writers in the world. He impressed all those who met him with his singularly unique personality, and he'll remain unforgetful to all who knew him. And I was fortunate enough to meet and get to know Hermes in the early 70s in India. We were both on pilgrimage, and Hermes is from a Jewish background, and of course you would think that he'd be interested in talking about some of his ways and traditions, but he was totally neutral. There we are in India in 1972. We had a pickup game against the Christian College of Ahmednagar, India, and us pilgrims, about 5-6 of us, got together, and there's Hermes and myself. That's 35 years ago. And we got together and we played this Christian college team, and we defeated them. And it was an amazing experience, and Hermes was truly a type of individual who, if you could sit down and start talking about the saints of any tradition, be it Christian, Islamic, Hindu, whatever it may be, Judaic, he would love it. He would love to get into talk. Just like we talk in the world about sports or women or this, he would say, let's open a bottle of wine and talk about truth. And we go on to the night. To him, it was a party. He had this fervent, burning desire to meet and be with holy people. And he would talk in hip talk. He wasn't like a holier than thou type. He would come with his long hair. He'd have his Indian guru shirt on and bare feet and sometimes tie-dyed pants. And he'd come up to you and say, fire out, man. Let's go find some heavy hitters. Let's see if we could find some masters who can teach us something, who could take us out of this world of ignorance. And then, you know what I mean? And he would talk that way. Of course, he got involved also in talking idle talk about sports and news and all that. But he was really, you could say, a person devoted to the spiritual path, the pursuits of it. And he did travel throughout India in the 70s. And at the time, in India, of course, people were separated at great distances. He had to go from villages to big cities. He had to buy a camera. I believe it was a Yashica in those days. And it was a camera that had the characteristic of able to photograph a photo. So he could take their photo that they have in their home and then reproduce it and archive it with their permission, of course. And he compiled all these photos. He wanted to have an archival collection. And this book, Love Personified, is part of that, to where he basically just went to people's homes and produced this. It was amazing how he did it. I mean, there's a photo that he took, Meher Baba, that somebody had in their collection. Meher Baba was with the alphabet board, and basically Meher Baba was silent, so that's why you see him at the alphabet board. He used to dictate messages through that. But I mean, it's amazing the collection that he accrued. And he published this book, Love Personified, and it's a total life story of Meher Baba in photographs. But yet, what was to come later was this epic work, Lord Meher. You see these books on the table here? Well, it took him, in the start of it, 20 years to get this published, to where he would start with the first volume, which shows Meher Baba, 1894 to 1922. And then, of course, then he went on to volume 2, volumes 3, 4, 5, all the way through 20. And when he finished the final volume, it was an exhausting work. And what's amazing about his life is, in reading the final chapter, or his introduction to the completion of his 20-year, you could say, labor of love, he says, one difficult aspect of my work was people's scorn of me, because I arose to the occasion, but I did not meet Meher Baba personally. So a lot of people would basically say, how can you be an authority on somebody's life? You never met him physically. You're going by people's stories, by collection of photographs, and you're chronicalizing all this information. And he helped edit this book. Lord Meher is a manuscript actually called Prabhu, Lord Prabhu, Meher Prabhu. Meher Prabhu was actually, as the name means, Lord Meher in Hindi, Meher Prabhu. And that was the biography of Avatar Meher Baba, and that's his first years, 1894 to 1922. Baul Kalchuri is the author of this epic work. Baul got together with Hermes back in the late 70s, and they started talking about compiling and publishing the photographs that Hermes had and incorporating it into Meher Baba's biography of his life. So it was a difficult task, because first of all, Hermes was a regular person, just like me, or like most folks out there, middle-class American, who basically was just trying to make ends meet. So he had no funds to put this together, except he was extremely brilliant, a genius in regards to his focus. So he started reading the manuscript, started help editing. He got people to come to him to be able to type out the original written manuscript and started putting it in print, and he worked with people like that. But through the years, it was difficult for him because, of course, money was a big problem, because to publish this first volume, volume 1 here, you look at this was a total of, let's see how many pages. This was about 320 pages. So volume 1's 320 pages. So then some volumes increase. You could see the final volume here. My gosh, it had about 800 pages in the final volume. And what is amazing about this, you could see in the beginning of the book, benevolent spirits. These are people who donated to his cause. In other words, he would have never, ever been able to pull this off without people across the world. And he published their names alphabetically, they were all people that just continually, produced. You could see when he got to the last volume, it went on. And it's finally his comments here. It is our prayer that this work, now completed, will worthily serve the Avatar's divine cause of revealing God's love and truth for the next 700 years. The reason why that 700 years comes into play is Meher Baba stated that the advent of the Avatar, a Messiah figure, such as Jesus, Buddha, Ramakrishna, Zoroaster, Muhammad, and now Meher Baba, comes on cycles of 700 1,400 and 2,100 year cycles. You can correlate that. Just think of the time when Buddha was on earth and then the time when Jesus came. There was a difference of about 700, 1,400, 2,100 years. And the same with Muhammad. They come at those periods. That's when the Messianic figure comes. And Meher Baba stated in 1954 he was that one. So Hermes has compiled and published with, of course, Baal Kalchuri's unbelievable research. Baoji, who put together the manuscript called Meher Prabhu, he worked with so many individuals in order to get this information. Like he states here, he says, the Merazad women Mandalay, Mera J. Irani, his sister Mani, Dr. Goher, Rano, Gali, Naja, the Merazad men Mandalay, Erich Jesawala, Abaidul, Aloba, Pendu, Kakabaria. And in Bombay, he mentioned all these people, Khorshid Irani, Jalandali Dastur, Katie Irani, Minu, and in Pune, his brother Behram Irani and wife, and also Jal S. Irani, Baba's brother, Sorab and Rustam Irani, Baba's twins, nephews. And in the end, I bow to the love for the beloved for all those who played roles in the divine game and thus made it possible for me to record for posterity the history of the Avataric event, Baal Kalchuri, July 10th, 1971. So this is in the first part of the Lord Meher series. But these accounts had to be recorded on paper. Most of the time there was no tape recorders. So these accounts then were taken and produced. The photos you are seeing are from Hermes. Those are Hermes collections that were then produced on a video called Love Personified by the Ikowitz brothers of upstate New York, David and his brother. And this came out, I believe, in the early 80s. And but this is depicting some of the works of Hermes. Hermes also worked with Baal Kalchuri on another work. There was 2 prayers recited at Hermes' memorial service this past Sunday, August 26th. Meher Baba dictated a couple prayers that he said should be recited as many times as possible, at least once daily. He had the regular prayer that's said at Meher Baba's tomb every day, and it's called the Master's Prayer and the Prayer of Repentance. He also gave a prayer called the Prayer to Christ, or the Christian Prayer. And Hermes stated when he left this world, he said, at my memorial, I only want 2 prayers recited. I want the Prayer to Christ recited and the 101 names of God recited. So we'll get to that a little later, and we'll finish maybe the program with that prayer. But the prayer is so beautiful, and Hermes was truly a warrior in this world, and the God-man was like the king who he was, you could say, serving with his love. But a little bit of the 101 names of God, which was from the Avesta, which is the Zoroastrian book. And that's a prayer called the 101 Names of God, representing many attributes of the infinite. This ancient prayer was originally recited by Zarathustra in Persian several thousands of years ago. The emphasis Meher Baba placed on the prayer is something great. He stated, if one said this prayer with one's heart, no other prayer is necessary to be said. The 101 Names of God, worthy of worship, all-powerful, all-knowing, Lord of all, without beginning, without end, root of creation, endless bliss, primal cause, exalted one, purest of the pure, detached from all, in touch with all, unattainable, attainer of all, most righteous, upholder of all, beyond reason, sovereign reason, bountiful one, ever prolific, reaching equally to all, nourisher, protector of the world, never changing, formless, most steadfast among the steadfast, Lord invisible, all pervading, all in all, worthy of our profound thanks, all embracing goodness, all embracing holy light, remover of affliction, beyond affliction, immortal, fulfiller of holy desires, creator of holy attributes, compassionate judge, merciful giver, bountiful giver, unconquerable, freest of the free, deliverer from evil, never deceiving, never deceived, one without a second, Lord of desire, decreer of sovereign desire, soul supreme, never forgetting, just accountant, knowing all things, fearless, devoid of pain, most exalted one, ever the same, invisible creator of the universe, creator of the profoundly spiritual, hidden within the spirit, transmuter of fire into air, transmuter of fire into dew, transmitter of air into fire, transmitter of air into dew, transmitter of air into earth, supreme transmuter of air into dust, supreme transmuter of fire into divine sparks, spreading air everywhere, creator of life-giving water, transmuter of dust into fire, transmuter of dust into air, transmuter of dust into water, master craftsman, rewarder of sincere desires, creator of all humanity and its actions, creator of all human and animal life, creator of all four elements, creator of all the planets and all other worlds, never in doubt, ageless, eternally awake, ever alert, ever protecting, recorder of man's actions, victorious, Lord of the universe, Lord of life and wisdom, preserver of creation, renewer of creation, embracing all creation, giver of all things, infinitely patient, Lord of existence, forgiver of sins, divine creator, rayed in glory, haloed in light, Lord of justice, Lord of just rewards, liberator, awakener of eternal spring. That's the 101 names of God, translated from the Zoroastrian prayer in the Avesta. So amazing. This photo here, by the way, which you saw at the beginning, is Hermes' I could say, favorite. This was produced with this duodone tone, which is sort of, looks like it's somewhat antiqued. And this is part of a second publication that Hermes came out with in 2001. It's another compilation of Hermes photos. So he had the first work, he had this one, Love Personified, and then suddenly he has all these photos laying around his place. He says, why not make another book? Why not produce another photo album of Baba? So lo and behold, here it is. It's another photo album of Baba. And you can see there's Baba with a bird, I think, on his finger there to the side over there. Yeah, so yeah, it's a parrot, looks like. And so the idea of it is, this is Hermes photos. Amazing, isn't it? How he has just, well, this gentleman, John Dietz, who worked with Hermes in the 70s, went to Hermes' home after Hermes passed away on Thursday. I believe he went over this past weekend. And when he went to the home, he said, Baba's presence, the energy in that house was overwhelming. He says what he found in Hermes' house was photos wall to wall of Baba, books, archival information. Then he went into Hermes' bedroom, and he said he found the bare minimum, like 3 or 4 pairs of pants, 4 changes of underwear, a couple pairs of shoes, all neatly arrayed. And then he went in the kitchen, he found a couple saucers, dishes, cups, and maybe a coffee pot, and that was it. Hermes lived like a monk, but yet his house was full of treasures, these archival treasures. And the Lord Me Here series, it's 20 volumes, and there are only, of these volumes, I think there are only maybe, there's a nice picture of Baba when he was young. There are only like several scattered fragments of the set. In other words, there's 20 volumes. I understand there's a warehouse that has stores of volumes 1 and 2 and some other volumes, but to have the complete set that you see here is not available. I mean, it's become basically a collector's type item because Hermes ran out of money. And he would publish each volume in each given time, and when the volume sold out, that was it. He'd go on, he'd start fundraising for the next volume, and eventually they'd produce the next volume. His whole goal was to complete the work. He was told by this Tom Hopkinson, Sir Tom Hopkinson of England, when hearing of the original, goal of producing a biography of Baba's life, he said, "My young man, it's going to take you 100 years to do that. It's an impossible task. How can you do it?" And Hermes said, "Well, I'm just going to try. I'm going to do my best. I've got archival information. I got the manuscripts. I got the photos. I'm going to all put it together in stories. I'm going to get personal, first-hand information. Bao Kalchuri has given me this." And lo and behold, 20 years, Hermes put it together, and it was published. I mean, each volume came out separately. Like the first volume was published in 1980, and the final volumes, 19 and 20, was published in 2001. So you think about that. It took those years to go by for him to keep at it. And during those 20 years, he suffered greatly. His wife got a form of a cancer that eventually, took her life, and she suffered greatly through many years, through various therapies, and the daughter was born when Hermes, I think, was in his late 30s. So the idea of it is, Hermes' life in those years of publishing it weren't easy. And, just think about it. You have no really nest egg of money to produce this. You're relying totally on donations, and like he calls it, his benefactors, kindred spirits who are willing to believe in his project and go with it. And secondly, like he says he was getting the scorn of people because they were saying, "Who are you to be writing, this biography? You never met Mir Baba. You're just a Baba follower who came to India in 1970 or whatever, and you went to his tomb, took his darshan, met his disciples. Who are you to say that you can complete this work?" But they didn't realize who Hermes was, that he was an on-fire soul whose focus... I'll tell you a story. 1970s, we're in India. We're staying, I believe, at the Dowlat Lodge or the Ashoka Hotel. And Hermes and I went to this little snack shop, had a lemonade or something. It's called the Lime Ricky. And as we were crossing the courtyard going back to our hotel, we saw these beautiful girls, and I sort of said, "Wow, look at that." I'm in my late 20s at the time. Hermes like 24. And Hermes says, "Fred, don't look at them with that lustful eye." He says, "You're going to pick up 1,000,000 sanskaras." And I said to him, "Man, lighten up. I'm just a young guy." But Hermes already at age 24, but you see how he could talk to you? He wasn't like a real disciplinarian, like holier than thou type. He would just make it lighthearted and say, "Okay, man, you're going to get 1 million more sanskaras," which are impressions. In other words, you look at somebody, you get lustful thoughts, so those lustful thoughts are impressed in your head. So you're going to eventually have to experience those lusts. In other words, you'll get that lustful craving later on in life and have to wear it out. So he says, why put yourself in that position where you have that? Why don't you basically, get over it? And so he used to kid me about that. Well, we had great times. A couple times we sat on the roof. We stayed at this East-West hotel, which is sort of on the outskirts of Ahmednagar, about 3-4 miles from Mir Baba's tomb. We'd go on pilgrimage every morning for Arti at 7 in the morning and evening at 7. And a couple times we came back from Arti and then we'd have dinner and we'd go up on the top of the roof and have a couple brews and talk about things and truth. And there was a group of us, we deemed ourselves the Magnificent Seven. There was Alan Connie, John Foreman, Hermes, myself, Scott O'Neill, and 2 other folks, their names right now, I just can't think of them, but there were 7 of us, and we were dubbed the Magnificent Seven because, in fact, they sort of gave a slogan to me. They says, Fred, your priorities in life are spirituality, spirituality, and sexuality. They kidded me about that. And we used to have those times, but we really would just love our company and to be together. And when you got talking about the masters of the time, like Hermes would research about some Islamic or Mohammedan saint that had a following in India, and he would want to go and find out about that saint. And then, lo and behold, what would happen, there would be somewhat of a connection with Meher Baba. Somebody would say, oh, that particular saint? Well, yeah, Meher Baba talked about him too. So Hermes encompassed everything. He loved Saint Francis of Assisi. He loved some of the Saint Teresa of Avila stories of her stigmata and so forth. And he would be so broad-minded, and being of a Jewish background, he of course was involved with the thoughts of the Holy Land and in Israel and so forth. And of course, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita and the Ramayana. And he really loved reading those epics and the war and the battles of Kurukshetra and Arjuna and the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and we'd have talks into the night. So this is going to be the completion now of the part one. We're getting the sign to wrap it up. So we'll be back next week at the same time for the second part on a tribute to Hermes Reiter. Until next time, you could contact the Avatar Meher Baba Center, 323-731-3737. Meetings are 11 a.m. Sunday, admission free. Until next time, Jai Baba all, and God bless you, Hermes. Thank you.